Yeah, I don't have a great, tremendous, as Trump would say, Trump take on this one. I don't.
I think the media has fucking disgraced itself in all of this. And again, I know it's being fed by a White House health team that can't keep the story.
Well, that's the other. Well, I mean, so here's the thing: you have a guy, one of the doctors, who basically was like, "Well, we wanted to keep everyone's spirits up because that's not your job, stupid. Tell the truth."
Yeah, but I don't know if it's necessarily his job or great for national security.
Well, don't have a press conference then.
Unless the entire idea is to calm things down,
yeah, but we're not,
to project an image of strong government.
But that's not their. I'm an American citizen. I want to know the truth. He's a president. How's he doing?
Well, I mean, I want to know the truth about some other person who has a medical condition.
Well, he's the president of the United States.
He's the president of the United States, so there needs to be a little bit of political theater so that our enemies don't see a weakness to take advantage of.
Do you want total honesty and truth and transparency, or no about this?
When it comes to the president's
health of the president, yes.
No, like
you don't, as a citizen, you don't want transparency in the president's health.
What does it matter to me if his fever was 100 degrees or 101 degrees?
How about if he's dying?
Well, yeah, if he's dying, we're going to find out about it eventually. If there's been if there's been a transfer of power under the 25th Amendment, yes, we should be notified about that.
But should there have been one? According to you texted me the other day, there should have been one.
I think if he's on dexamethasone,
which is he or no?
Yes.
Okay.
He's on a very powerful steroid.
So I'll read you you want me to read you the text from you? Or
I said it's wild that he's on dexamethasone and there hasn't been a transfer of power.
So then you think there should have been a transfer of power?
Yeah, if he's on that huge steroid.
So you think somebody in the media should have asked the doctor that question?
You don't need to ask the doctor if there's been a transfer of power.
But you wouldn't want the doctor to answer that question. By the way, it's wild that Trump is on
dexamethasone.
Dexamethasone and has a transfer of power to Pence. That steroid can turn people into lunatics. I've seen it. So then why isn't there, in your mind, there should be a transfer of power?
Because Trump has the people around him have decided that there shouldn't.
But you think there should be?
I think it has the potential to turn him into a fucking
You just texted me the other day there should be.
I just told you. I'm agreeing with what you're not.
You're like, oh, I don't know. And I don't know. The doctor shouldn't say anything. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I'm trying to answer your questions.
According to you, you have a president right now who is possibly turning even more insane because he's on this drug, correct?
And the people around him who would initiate a 25th Amendment proceedings are the best equipped to judge whether that is needed.
So there should be no president at all then. Why don't you send the people around the president?
Some people who are on very powerful steroids like that get aggressive and fucking crazy. So there's a potential for that.
Do you think there should be?
Should be a 25th Amendment procedure?
A transfer.
That's what the 25th Amendment
I know that.
Oh.
But I'm saying, do you think it should?
If the people around him decide he's going crazy, yeah.
Steve, I'm not asking what you think do you think that should have happened?
See, I'm not going to be some fucking dickhead trying to diagnose him from Twitter videos.
Why'd you text me that?
I don't know.
You said there should be on the text.
Because if he's going crazy, then they should be.
Okay. All right. So okay, fine. Great. Okay. Good take. I miss Mike's political takes. What, do you have a specific sound to back up the media's losing their mind?
Well, we've got a little bit of Rachel Maddow, but I was more thinking the one who's really losing her mind is Jennifer Rubin, the former Republican columnist for the Washington Post.
She used to be at the Post, right?
Yeah, no, she's still at the Post. They just took conservative out of her blogger bio. But so when he's transported to the hospital, she's screaming, "Why did they take a helicopter? He should have been driven. Why did they take the helicopter?" And then he does this little cruise around yesterday, and she's like, "Can't believe he'd be in a car with Secret Service agents." She's just going absolutely fucking insane. But I mean, I think the general tone, most of the people on MSNBC behaved themselves. I watched Maddow Friday night, and she was pretty serious about it. Like, she did the emergency show, came back from vacation, and talked a little bit about it.
We are not on death watch tonight for the president. There is no reason to expect that the president is going to die from this. Now, of course, it is possible.
Well, that's.
This was CNN, Brian Stelter's Reliable Sources show.
There's no irony in that title, is there?
Right.
Masha, what do you see happening in America right now with a country unable to know what to believe about the president's health?
Well, Brian, there have been a lot of comparisons to the Soviet Union in the last couple of days, and I think they're not unwarranted. The particular period that I'm thinking about is something that I've written about a lot, which were the days of Stalin's death watch, right? When the foreign correspondents and the domestic correspondents, such as they were, all knew what was going on. Nobody was giving them any information. Everybody was expecting the final call, right?
I mean, just comparing it to Stalin is so fucking stupid. Like, I remember when Stalin just got in his car and drove around and waved and was like putting out statements and videos.
What are you going to do if Trump dies, though, like this afternoon? Are you then willing to have conspiracy conversations?
I've been told that his dying wish is for Amy Coney Barrett to be confirmed to the Supreme Court.
I may have been holding that one. What would you do though?
I would continue living my life.
No, idiot. I'm saying, would you then be willing to have conspiracy conversations?
If he dies? No, he's got a fucking deadly disease and he's old.
So if he dies at 2:00 today after doing these videos and tweeting in the morning, you just say, well, it just happened.
Oh, I'm sure there'd be an investigation. Other people would monger the conspiracies for me, but that's not the first place.
So again, I don't think he's going to die. I'm unlike other people. I don't want him to die. If he dies, what happens? Like what?
So if he dies, his name stays.
So Pence is the
ballot.
president, of course.
Yeah, Pence becomes president.
The vice president
until January 20th.
is appointed until then, right?
Yeah.
They have to be confirmed, though. I think.
Yeah, probably. I think in the Senate.
My guess is that would be a swift.
I mean, vice president doesn't really matter unless Pence also gets coronavirus. But
that must have been when Pence got tested for COVID. That must have been the first time he was really nervous about taking a test, right? For a positive or negative. No, I would think, right? I mean, I can't.
Yeah, it's probably the closest he's been to exposure to coronavirus.
That's what I'm saying. So Pence, of course, would be president. So then they would appoint somebody. I don't even know who would be. Pick your who, whatever. But somebody I would assume would blast through because it's so short.
Yeah.
So then they would have the election, but Trump's name would be on the ballot.
Yes.
Huh. So if, just for conversation's sake, Trump won, I don't think it would be because I think everyone likes Pence on that Republican side, but it could potentially be sort of a weird situation. It could be a weird situation.
Well, you remember in 2016, there was all the talk about the Hamilton electors who are going to defect and throw their official electoral ballots towards somebody else.
Yep.
You'd be in a kind of a situation like that where all of those electors, they're not going to throw their electoral college vote to Trump. They're going to try and find some consensus candidate. So you'd basically have a group of unelected Republican officials, all with the power to control an electoral college vote, trying to decide who they're going to throw it behind.
Yeah.
And I would think Mike Pence is the obvious front runner.
Yeah,
it'd be tough. It'd be tough for a party that's been screaming about a coup for the last 4 years to justify. And what are they going to do? Mitt Romney, is he going to come, riding in on a horse?
Yeah. Who would be the vice president? I wonder. Who would Pence pick?
I would guess that it would come from the circle of loyalists. Ivanka Trump would have good optics, I think.
You think he'd pick Ivanka Trump as his vice president?
Just as the optics, continuity for the Trump family line, female vice president. I think that would have good optics, but it could also be somebody like Pompeo, somebody who's been, with him for 3 or 4 years.
I'd pick as Trump's original doctor. I like that guy.
Was it not Bornstein?
Where's he been during this whole thing? I like that guy.
I don't know. For some reason, they didn't.
They don't think he's the guy that project.
They didn't want the doctor.
I like that guy.
I liked it too when Trump was dictating his own health evaluation.
On the same side, same height and weight as Tom Brady.
The most healthy president ever.
The guy was like, I don't know how he does it. I actually don't know how he does it. I like that guy. He'd be fun to have around last couple of days.
He would.
Has there been any interviews anywhere? That seems very unlikely.
No, I don't think. I think it was probably like a Jeremiah Wright situation where they just kind of asked him to, stay away from the cameras.
I guess.
You know what I think is interesting is, so are we done with hydroxychloroquine?
I don't know.
Because that hasn't been in the conversation about the president's treatment whatsoever.
Trump has learned a lot. Do you have the Trump sound where he said how much he's learned and everything?
I'm not telling anybody but you, but I'm about to make a little surprise visit. So perhaps I'll get there before you get to see me.
So weird.
But I just, when I look at the enthusiasm, and we have enthusiasm like probably nobody's ever had. Our people that love the job we're doing, we have more enthusiasm than maybe anybody. So it's been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it, and it's a very interesting thing, and I'm going to be letting you know about it. In the meantime, we love the USA, and we love what's happening.
He does sound pretty good.
He does. He sounds exactly like the caller.
He does. Well, the caller is him.
Yes, of course.
That does piss me off. I mean,